Here's a video update for my Unreal game. So I've been working on a flying AI component. So let me show you how it works. So when I hit simulate, it moves slowly to the character. And if this was like a moving type of game, no matter where I moved, this would follow me. But since I stay in one spot, it's just going to come here. The idea is the enemies are just going to get closer and you're trying to prevent them from getting closer. So when you make an AI character, you need a blackboard and a behavior tree. So the behavior tree is exactly, what it sounds like. It makes it handles the behavior. So right here we have weight, and we also have it set the velocity towards the player. So here we have a execute AI. So this executes when we run. It's going to set the controlled pawn, which is just the AI character. We're going to cast it to a character reference so we can get the character movement of the pawn. And when we have a branch for the condition. So this gets the player pawn location and compares it to the AI location. So if the pawn's location is equal to the player's location within a threshold of about 50 units, then that means they have collided. So we stop the AI movement and then we finish execute. Now, if the condition is false, so that means the AI has not reached the player yet, we're going to set the velocity to the unit vector times the speed, and the target is the AI character's movement reference. So that's what's being displayed here. So we multiply the unit vector by the speed to the player, and so the unit vector times the speed, and then we get the player's location and the AI location. It also finds the unit direction vector from the AI to the player. So we get the player here, we get the pawn or the AI here. We set the elevation height. So this is just the elevation above the player. So it doesn't actually collide with the player. It doesn't matter. We could set this to 0, 100, 1,000. But I have it set to 300 right now, and I have the speed set to 300. So we put that. So from the AI to the player, we get the unit direction, multiply that by the speed, and then we set the character's movement reference to that velocity. Then we finish execute. And then, so with all that being said, as you see, it moves to our player. Now, it doesn't rotate yet because I'm trying to get the rotation to work, but for some reason it's not rotating. Now what's supposed to happen is we get the player pawn, we cast to the VR pawn, we set the pawn's reference, and as we set that, we call the function face player. So face player is supposed to set the rotation. We're going to delay it by a second, and then we're going to call this again. When we set rotation, we're going to get the reference to our actor. So the target is our player. The start is the AI, and then we're going to get the current, get the actor's rotation, so the AI's rotation, and then the target, and then we're going to get the delta time here, which is just delta time. This smooths out the rotation no matter what frame rate you're on, so 60, 30, 120, it'll smooth it out. And then we're just going to get the z-axis, the z, because that's just going to be the up and down. We just want to rotate it on that, and it should rotate, but for some reason it is not rotating just yet. Just show you. Yeah, for some reason it's not rotating, but I'll figure that out. And that's all.